comrade, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman, now living in Wales. I hope everybody's okay, power to the people. I hope you're making the most of this bit of sun coming out, but we've also had a bit of snow and everything else going on. Hey, it's all good fun though, isn't it? Octopus. So, let me give you a brief update. Nothing's been resolved. I'll take you through a few emails. I'll do my normal style, but I've decided this time to underline the important text using red. I've not worked out how to do that. Anyway, so I think the last time I did an update on this, email 4th of December, blue arrow, underlined in red, Octopus say it's all managed by Ofgem and that is the RTS shutdown. We go a bit further down, green arrow, because I was asking, well, I'll just have a reconditioned or a used RTS meter and I'll be happy with that, or just another meter. I don't, because I'm not keen on a smart meter. Anyway, you can see there, underlined in red, it's all about government regulations. Now, I somewhat suspect that's not true. I think that's about the government wanting to install part of their national infrastructure into private houses. Now, what I found quite interesting on this, 2 points. If they were a true private company, they would say to me, the paying customer, we'll give you what you want. Because guess what? You're the customer. They're not saying that. What they're saying is, we need to comply with government regulations. Now, I personally don't want a piece of government national infrastructure inside my house. For many reasons. First off, it's my private house. And I decide what goes on in it. Nobody else does it at this moment in time. But I'm quite sure that that will change if, of course, the government carries on, current government, carries on the course it's on in terms of censorship and making sure people can't say what they want. Anyway, I then go down to the bottom, purple arrow, and the allegation there is I've refused to accept anything. Well, in another email I make it really clear that I'm just asking questions. I'm not refusing to accept anything. What it means, from my personal point of view, is I'm not going to be intimidated or bullied into accepting something. Even though, yes, I still don't have any proper heating. However, I've got a solution in place, but I do genuinely feel for people who might not have my ability, A, to write the emails, B, to understand the emails, or to get things sorted out and ask mates and things like that and get some heating sorted out. But the interesting thing is at no time have they ever said, are you doing okay? See? That would be a bit of compassion, wouldn't it? Anyway, what happened next? Well, I then reply back on the 11th of December. And blue arrow, I make it really clear to them that I see having a smart meter as like a pet. Yeah, it's for life. So, but I don't think that went down well, but it's true though, isn't it? Now the other thing, at number 1, on the red arrow, I also point out that I've written to Ofgem on the 9th of December, and guess what they've told me? They've told me, as you can see underneath, it's nothing to do with them. Yeah, nothing to do with Ofgem, but Octopus are saying it is. Anyway, I then send that off, I then get a reply, and interestingly, red arrow, as you can see here, underline, it's the energy industry as a whole, including Ofgem. Well, no, it isn't actually. They were part of the process, but they're nothing to do with the shutdown. So that doesn't really make any sense anyway. And then we go down to the blue arrow. And now, the interesting bit is the word which caught my attention was due to my particular setup. I've got a standard boring Economy 7 setup. I have 2 storage heaters and then I feed into the immersion heater, which is switches on and off according to what's going on. That's it, nothing else. It is not a particular setup. I've had it before. Now, he also does go on to confirm, and that's the black arrow, all customers identified with an RTS setup, which I've got, right, bear that in mind, were notified. Now, that's why he then goes on to say, we were not aware because of my particular setup. Which is really odd. Because when I moved into the house, that was the setup and no issues before, and I've been sending Octopus, guess what, 2 meter readings, one for night time and one for daytime. And do you know what they've been doing for the past 2 years? They've been sending me bills, and on those bills it said your night rate is this, and your day rate is this, and your total is this. So I'm sort of thinking someone somewhere knew when they were taking the money off me. Anyway, I then replied to that, and in the red arrow, and you might be disappointed in me now, I actually turn around and say, yes, I accept the telly switch was switched off in September, but I didn't get any notification. Now, I then go on to say, green arrow, that in line with Ofgem and rulings and guidance, I will have to have a smart meter installed. Now, I can also change my mind, as you might have seen. I've done, actually. But I also go on to say, this is a bit you might be interested in. I then say, it will be placed in dumb mode. To be clear, the communications hub will be removed to prevent hacking risk and misuse of my personal data. I also go on to say, Ofgem explicitly allows smart meters to be placed in dumb mode. So if you feel you're going to have one, you can at this moment in time get it placed into dumb mode. Anyway, I also go on a little bit further down on there, is I will also retain the same tariff at the same times as now, right, or within the 15-minute window as stated on Octopus website, because that's what they say. I also then say this is a resolution, so I'm trying to get this finished off now. And then so the resolution for me is basically I'll get all my money back somehow. So what I've paid extra due to the tariffs and everything like that, and the costs I've incurred in buying gas bottles and everything else, they can pay that, because guess whose fault it is? It's not my fault, is it? It's their fault. So at this point, I then get a reply back, and it goes on to say that they admit, basically, red arrow, that I want notified. Right. So remember this now, your account was not flagged as having an RTS meter, but I go back to what I've said already about, well, for 2 years I've been sending them 2 readings and they've been giving me 2 different amounts to pay for having an RTS meter. You can't make it up, can you? Anyway, then goes on to say, and he confirms, and again, good news if you're interested in this, black arrow, we are happy to proceed with installing a smart meter excluding the communications hub. There you go, so you can have it. Now, the bit below there in red, underlined in red, is interesting. Your tariff times will remain unchanged at all days from 0:30 to 07:30. Now, how does he know this if what I've said before is my particular setup doesn't really exist or it's caused an issue? See? Don't really make much sense. And then he goes on to say, the green arrow, once the new meter is installed, we can review and address any charges. Now, let me give you a tip here. That's the wrong way around. What I want is everything put back to how it should be first, and at that point I'll think about having a smart meter. Now, at this point I've now changed my mind. Red arrow, and as you can see here, thank you for your reply. I would like all the outstanding issues to be fully resolved before any further steps are taken. Now that's the only way of doing things, isn't it? For the moment, I do not wish to proceed with the installation of a smart meter. Right, so I've changed my mind. Changes your mind is fine. Do it. Because you get different information and you think differently. I also then, in the black arrow, go on to say, also ask you that you provide a clear timeline. So a timeline is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. It's as simple as that, right? All these matters to be investigated and resolved. So in other words, I want to be put back in a good financial position, and then at that point we can have another chit chat. I've not made it that clear, but I think it should be quite obvious. And again it says, once these issues satisfactorily sorted out within agreed time, I'll be happy to reconsider and accept. So I've tried to help him out here. I then get a reply back. Right. Red arrow. They have admitted it now, so they can't really go back on that, so that is good. And then they go back again, we've still got the thing, if you have a black arrow, should I say, should you decide to accept having a new meter fitted, we would prioritise this install, normally within 1 to 2 weeks. Now this 1 to 2 weeks tell me that they understand what a time frame is. Now it's also accepting that I've not agreed it, because should I decide to accept it? So if you keep saying no, they keep having to go away. But just bear in mind, eventually the current government will, just in the swipe of a pen, change legislation, and you won't even know it's happened, and none of our MPs or anybody else will shout about it because they're all in on it. Anyway, again, personal opinion. So at this point, I then accepted his proposal, but I've still not got a time frame, and I'm very conscious of that. I also now tell him my twin tariff times are, these is 12 p.m. to 3 p.m, then 9 p.m, well 1 a.m. Now this is actually called the split tariff, and that's what mine is. I also told him that so far I've spent over 200 quid on Caligas, blah blah blah. So I then get a reply. Now, like magic, now they've found me account. Right, and it says it's currently set up with the standard economy timings, and it tells me what they are. Well, it's totally wrong there. Now, let's go back a while. Prior to that, they didn't think I had an RTS meter and they couldn't find my account. But like magic, now they found it. Now, how's that possible? So they didn't have it then, now he's found it like magic. But they don't even know my timings because I inherited all of this system, and the electricity supplier was with somebody else. Not my issue. I'm just saying I think this is what's happened. I don't really care because my contract is with them for these hours, which is 12 while 3. Now, I somewhat suspect that all the electricity companies are making the most of this to get rid of people with split tariffs like myself, because let me tell you this is far more useful to get cheap electricity between 12 and 3 and 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. than it is chasing half an hour rates all over the place, because I'm not doing that for anybody. Anyway, it then goes on to say, these timings, Redo, cannot be changed. Right, okay, well, they don't have to change them because I've never had them, thanks mate. And then he asked, could I send over the receipts so we'll make a note of these for you? What does that really mean? I want the money back first and foremost. I've paid it out due to them. Now he says make a note of it. Now this is why I'd always say get things in writing. Because make a note of it, what does that mean? It actually don't mean anything. That's it, they'll just then brush me under the carpet, and then I'll just be in a continuous fight, and they'll think, oh well, we've got that one sorted out, that's another meter installed. Right, but again, not happening, is it? Because I've changed my mind. So at this point, I then write back to him, blue arrow, underline section, these are my tariff hours, right? I go on to say that I've had them since I've been in the property, blah blah blah. Now, for some reason I've decided, because I'm interested now, what does he mean by my particular setup? Because remember, this is the reason they're saying they couldn't notify me when they should have done, but then suddenly they've now told me what my tariff is, but I didn't exist prior to that. Don't make any sense, you see. Anyway, so at this point we go all the way down, so I've asked him now to specifically what it is about my particular setup. Green arrow, I've now sent him new invoices, all attached, just under 300 quid for the amount of gas I've had to buy. Now at this point I get a letter back, I get the email back should I say, and we're going back to the beginning here. The green box, he says, well, it's not switching correctly between day and night because it's either a faulty meter, the RTS shut down, or it goes down that it's down to my setup, and they couldn't find my setup. So even now he's confirmed it, that they couldn't find my setup, but actually they know what my setup is because they've known for the last 2 years, and he's confirmed it all in the same email, because he's saying that the tariff I've sent him is wrong because it's logged down differently on his setup. You see, can't make it up, can you? It's like going down a rabbit hole and trying to deal with something which don't make any sense. Anyway, in the black he goes on to say, we are committed to resolving this matter promptly. Well, clearly they're not, you see, because A, there's no timeline in there, is there? No time frame for blah blah blah. We'll work out your money and send you and get you sorted out with your money so you're back in an even keel. At this point we'll be able to move things forward, and can we talk again? That's how you'd finish this off. But he doesn't. Now, again, no offers to keep me warm or anything like that. Have I replied to this? That was 30th of December. No, do you know why? Because I'm having a bit of a think about it, because guess what? That's what I can do. Right, comrades, thank you for watching. Please tick subscribe, leave a comment about this. or at the very least take at least 1 or 2 points away, because I do think this is a big issue. More people are talking about it than what we know. In fact, one of my neighbours is now going back old style, saying send us the bill, I'll pay you when I get the bill. Right comrades, thank you for watching, catch you on the other side, thank you.